You watched Sox last night.
Yes. Dicky Fitz gets a win. Sometimes rains in the desert, Milliken. How about that? Worst team in baseball.
Took 12 outings, but you look, the Nationals, they have the second most losses right now, or the second fewest wins in the NL. The Rockies do have the fewest. They're the worst. They're going to be worse than the White Sox from last year, which was the worst team we've ever saw, but they did what they were supposed to do. You take care of business against a very bad baseball team. The Red Sox are getting this stretch of lefties. They're hitting lefties better than any other team in baseball. That's because Romy Gonzalez is hitting 400 against them. You have the Rob Ref Snyders of the world.
Nice.
But
they'd be in a much better spot if they did this starting since the beginning of May. Taking care of the teams, winning the games at home you're supposed to win.
I think if you're the Red Sox, the way you look at it is looking at the AL Central with teams like the Royals, the Twins that have kind of fallen through the Guardians. Mm-hmm. The Red Sox are 2 games out, and in the last 2 weeks, they've doubled their playoff odds from about 15 to 17%. They're at 30% today. I'm not telling you to go nuts, but you got to handle business during these, this stretch of bad teams here. You got the Rays coming up, which is when the gauntlet starts, but that's a team you've handled somewhat recently. Yes, you had Rafael Devers during that time, but when you look past that, it's the Phillies, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. Yeah. That series, that stretch there is going to make or break your season. You got to handle business here for it to even matter, and that's where they are.
I'm not going to fault them for what they are. To say, well, do they feel more like a 15% type team or a 30% type team? You are what you are. Because we're going to end up doing this in football. Say you get hot a little bit in the middle of the year, and then all of a sudden, here we go, the path to the playoffs. It starts. Your odds are at 15%. Now they're at 45%. You are what you are at that time. They are what they are right now. So as bad as things have been, I don't know, maybe start taking it for what it's worth now.
You look at the last 7 games, they're the best offense in the sport. Is that something they're going to consistently be able to do? No, that's crazy.
Come on.
You're basically first in every single statistic except OBP in your second.
You scored a bunch of runs in a bunch of games.
Come on. Exactly. Now, the Red Series, I do think, even with the last game being a tough loss, you look at the Nationals and the Rockies, you understand what you're dealing with here.
This is where you get freaking crazy with your numbers. This is where I'm not going to sit here and say they're the best offensive team in baseball because I know what I'm watching. Okay?
No, but it's the balancing out, right? After the Devers trade, those first 10 games, they were the worst. Really, it's somewhere more in the middle. I think the things you cling to if you're a Red Sox fan right now are Roman Anthony. Yeah. 6 of the last 9 games, multi-hit performances, second or third every day. They are clearly placing him, in the Rafael Devers spot in the lineup and saying, carry us, bring us wherever you go. He's going to be a major part of that, and you're going to ride it as far as you can. Now, is he going to have, obstacles and go through rough stretches? Yeah. Right now, though, finally the batted ball data has evened out, and you're seeing the results, and they're pretty great.
Batted ball data.
Batted ball data.
Instead of just saying, how about our DH? How about our Rafi? How about our David Ortiz? Did we talk about batted ball data with those guys? No.
It's a new world we live in.
Yeah, have fun, pal. Jesus.
Yeah, I guess it is. I would just say that these are the Rockies, and these wins don't count.
They blow.
That doesn't count.
Okay. All right.
So they still did the dumb things they always do. Nate Eaton at third base, Trevor Story with an error that led to a run. Like 2 out of the 3 runs, or all the runs that came around against Fitz, shouldn't have even scored in the first place.
No, we do this to the Patriots, and I'm ready to do it to the Red Sox. That's a fake win.
This is what I'm trying to do, too.
That's a bullcrap win.
You feel football is starting to come, and we're going to start doing these type of things. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Because if they lost that game last night to that team and say they came back and they won tonight, we'd be crushing them today. So how can you sit here and say that win didn't count? They counted. It's a win. Good for them. Let them enjoy it. They better sweep this team. They better freaking sweep this team.
I think the most interesting thing is what's going to play out the next couple days with Jarren Duran, who sat last night. They gave him a breather. Wilyer Abreu, double against the lefty, continuing to show some life there that he can handle that. Doesn't have to be a strict platoon. With Masataka Yoshida coming back, there's no way the roster really makes sense with the current logjam of outfielders unless someone is getting regular rest or you're taking a Jarren Duran and sitting him against lefties more frequently, which even in then, you're not getting Masataka Yoshida in the lineup that way. It feels like something's going to have to give in the next week or 2 on that front.
Yeah, they got a logjam, which we were discussing yesterday.
When you weren't here.
I know you weren't here for that, but I really think that despite these wins, this month is going to kick their ass at some point. Okay? A fake win last night. Congratulations, Dick Fitz, and all that.
He partied last night, I bet.
You think so?
Oh, he's thrown out a couple
12 appearances, but we got there. Yeah. He's pitched well this year, too. I thought yesterday, he looks like a back-end starter to me, 4 or 5.
That's what he is, isn't he?
Well, you're going to get Hunter Dobbins as well into this mix soon, which hopefully pushes Walker Buehler out. I do think there's been a lot of positives to take from the rotation. That stuff, to me, even with the competition, All right, Brian Bayo looking the way he has for a month plus. Lucas Giolito, the way he has for a month plus. You can counter and say Garrett Crochet is going to run out of gas at some point. Sure, that's a fair criticism. But there's reasons to be positive. Am I going to change my outlook dramatically? No. It's going to take going through the Dodgers, the Phillies, and Cubs and staying alive. That's what you need to do.
I just have to look at last night when we look at the success of Roman Anthony in that game and his 3 hits leading the way, that this is not major league pitching that he's facing against Colorado, which has to factor into this. But I do want to get to a bigger picture thing as it relates to the, I guess, the prospects at this point in time. This might be a good point to kind of bring this up. And that is on the trio of prospects on this team, now that we've had a little bit of time to see it. And I'm going to, even though I know he wasn't facing major league pitching last night, I'm still counting it. I'm going to count that for him.
All right.
I'll do him a solid. This email is a terrific one from Colton Situate, who writes, the Red Sox trio of prospects have collectively been a mixed bag. Marcelo Meyer is already a solid, fundamental pro that can be a stabilizing force for the infield. He is the most well-rounded player of the trio, but he doesn't have the same ceiling as the others. Does anyone disagree with that statement right off the bat? Because I don't, and it grabbed my attention.
I disagree with the hitting front. I don't think he's shown enough there yet to be super confident one way or the other. I think he's going to hit eventually, but to look at him as a bat on the same level as Roman Anthony
No,
can't do that.
That's not what he said.
Yeah,
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, all-around game. I think Roman Anthony plays a good enough outfield, and with his bat right now, I'd have him ahead.
Will you relax?
You not work for what?
Will you relax for a second?
Am I crazy?
All he's saying is Marcelo Meyer is a professional baseball player. That's all he's saying. That he is pro level.
He was saying he was the most well-rounded of the group.
Meaning that he's got enough skill to say he's a halfway decent hitter. He's a halfway decent fielder. He does a little bit of everything.
He fits.
Right? I think he's going to have a lot of work to do offensively this year.
I agree with that.
Pains.
And if you watch him against lefties, you can start to understand why Alex Cora doesn't like him facing lefties, because at times he looks totally lost. So to go on, he writes, Christian Campbell, that is a far larger prospect than the team realized. They rushed him through the system because his swing does massive damage when it connects. His value lies completely within his superhuman bat speed. The organization spent the last year moving him around the diamond, but the truth is he can only play the outfield. He says, I still have hope for Campbell, but similar to Duran, I don't see where he fits into the future of this team. Roman Anthony is the most talented of the bunch. Not only does the kid have the frame and the swing, but also an excellent presence. As big league pitchers find holes in his plate approach, he quickly makes adjustments. Anthony doesn't have Rafaela's range, Abreu's arm, or Duran's speed, but he also isn't a defensive liability in either of the corner outfield spots. If Anthony is a star, Meyer's an everyday 7-hitter, and Campbell is a bust. Is that a win in your eyes? Best, Colton Situate. First of all, I don't know that I'm ready to call Campbell a bust. But I do think we are starting to see, I don't know how you guys feel about Marcelo Meyer. He looks like an everyday big league player, but he doesn't look like he's going to develop into anything special. He's an everyday player.
He doesn't wow you.
I think he's going to be like a more offensive Brandon Crawford.
He doesn't wow you, but he fits.
Good player, sticks around. I think he's going to be a big clubhouse presence as well, but a good player, just not a annual all-star.
He for his age, he is confident enough to walk in to that setting and just blend. He's a blender. Anthony stands out when he mashes. Like there's a different ceiling there.
Meyer's not
Campbell's
special.
is
I don't
distant.
feel like Meyer is special. That's what I feel. I feel he's a big league ball
but he's
player.
good enough.
And that to me is a win, right? If to answer the question, is it a win? Well, I don't know what defines the win or the loss. Roman Anthony looks like the real deal. Marcelo Meyer does not look like the guy you thought he might be when they drafted him.
What if he could be Bill Miller?
He's an everyday player. He's going to be a major league ball player, and that's about where it ends.
Is Brandon Crawford enough for you?
What do you mean, is it enough?
If he's that player where he makes a couple all-star teams, he's a key part of some World Series runs, everyday starter. Crawford was one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. But I think if you get an above-average glove with Meyer and above-average bat, that's a pretty solid player that should be able to be part of your core moving forward.
Yeah, that's good. No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I obviously like him to be a 6-time All-Star over the next 8 years. Yeah, I would. But, I mean, I think we're starting to see that there's nothing special about that player. He's just a good, solid player. That's what he is. So if you're planning the future with this team and you're paying attention here at the end of this season as to what you think they might have for the future, that's where I'm slotting him in. All right. He's on the club. He's fine.
Pass.
Everyday guy.
Pass.
Roman Anthony has the ability to be a lot better than that.
Foundational piece.
Piece.
It's the difference between like a Gunnar Henderson, right? Like a Gunnar Henderson's a guy who's going to go out there and challenge for the MVP. Do you expect Marcelo to get MVP votes?
Never.
That's more than fair.
But was this kind of the forecast, though? Wasn't this what Anthony was billed as?
Yeah, I think most people looked at Marcelo as well-rounded, but the ceiling was maybe a bit lower than what many had hoped for initially. Because when people are saying you're Corey Seager when you get drafted, a guy who gets a $300 million contract, who's been one of the best offensive shortstops we ever seen, it changes. But he's a better defender than Corey Seager.
He's got a little cool as a cucumber type of effect to him. Like, I don't see him get rattled. He doesn't look nervous.
He feels like
the beginning,
kind of guy,
Anthony seemed nervous.
A little bit. He feels like the kind of guy to me and Meyer.
Maybe that's his look.
It'll be a lot of good seasons. He'll show up big in the playoffs. Will never look nervous. A little bit of that Xander Bogaerts. But to be fair, you look at Xander Bogaerts, most people never had Xander Bogaerts as a top 5 shortstop in the game, yet he was consistently a really good player here. So I think if he can get into that Xander Bogaerts realm, I think the Red Sox will be more than happy with that. I think with Christian Campbell, something people aren't talking about, and it's a small sample at AAA, he's still not pulling the ball. Whatever this mechanical issue where everything's these soft little floaters into right, he is not hitting the ball like he did a year ago. And obviously he's learning first base. That's where he would slot in long term. Figuring out what's going on with him at the plate feels like an even more pressing issue at this point.
All right, more on the Sox coming up. They get a win last night at Fenway. The offense powers the way again against the Rockies, who are just downright dreadful. Wow. I don't know what a Rockies fan looks like, but I'd hate to be one of them. I don't know how diehard of a fan base they've got out there.
You like wear a rock for a hat? You know, like the Wisconsin's got the cheese heads? Put like a rock on your head? Foam rock?
Jarren Duran sitting in that opener last night. Roman Anthony leading the way. The logjam issue continues. We talked about it yesterday. I think the easy fix is move on from Duran. Cedano Rafaela, by the way, just keeps mashing. Again, I don't think that's going to hold up, but I'm enjoying it.
Right now, you look at him, he's basically what people want Julio Rodriguez to be. And that's your guy, Beetle.
I know.
No one loves Julio Rodriguez like you do.
I love J-Rod. Love him.